Good day to all you fellow mates and adventurers. My name is Mordecai, and welcome to the Institute of Supernatural Arcane Affairs. I will be your narrator for today, where we analyse various RPG-related stories for potential considerations that can be applied to tabletop role-playing. Respect is not just an important part of playing at the table. It is an essential everyday skill, since it affects how a particular person perceives everyone else. A person who goes out of their way to ensure that every player at the table is getting along, having fun, and being respectful is going to garner an amount of admiration from everyone else at the table, and even away from the campaign. And it is also possible to roleplay as the highly respectable member of the party, having a degree of etiquette and politeness. And it certainly does lend itself towards a good form of role-playing. However, the opposite can also be true. A person who manipulates, is passive-aggressive towards others, or makes blatantly baseless claims despite evidence to the contrary, is sure to lose any respect they may have once garnered. And when such a person directs this behaviour towards people who are of a different gender intentionally, such a person falls under the stereotype of being either a creep or, worse, an incel. So, how does a creepy person create mayhem at the table in today's story? Let's find out as we embark on another delve. Before we begin with today's story, if you like my content or want to support the channel, feel free to subscribe and leave a like on the video. It's free to do, and every bit of support is highly appreciated. Plus, you can always change your mind at a later date. For now, please enjoy. Let's delve into the often terrifying world of r/RPG-Horror-Stories. Today's narrative is titled, DM has decided I am lying about my roles because I am a girl and wants to roll for me for the rest of the campaign, and is written by user Life is Short, like me. Let me start by saying, I know it sounds like I am in the wrong, that he must have a reason to think I am lying about my roles so I can succeed or something, but I truly have no idea why he even thinks that I am, because I swear on my life, I have never lied about a role before. The basic gist is that I am the only girl, a 20-year-old, in my current D&D campaign, but I don't really mind or feel uncomfortable about it, since all the guys I play with have been nothing but welcoming and chill towards me. They don't ever treat me any differently, and are a great group of guys. My only grievance is that the Dungeon Master has made comments since I started playing with them about how every female he has ever played with before has always lied about their dice rolls so they can impress all of the guys and look better or hotter in their eyes. Which is a super weird thing to bring up in my opinion. I had just started and had shown no signs of lying about anything, so I was already kinda weirded out that he felt the need to bring it up, but whatever. I kinda just brushed it off, and said I had played before, and that I don't fake dice rolls because that ruins the experience and the risk of the game and my actions, which in turn ruins the game for me and everyone else. The Dungeon Master seemed to accept that at the time, and let it go. However, I have noticed that at least once per session, he'll make some comment somewhere along the lines of how females just lie all the time. It's what they are biologically good at, and they all lie in games like this to look sexy to the men there. No one at the table really responds when he makes these comments. One of the guys tried once earlier on to mention that this was a rather sexist thing to say, and off topic to begin with. But the Dungeon Master got mad at being cut off from sharing his personal life experiences and knowledge. So no one has spoken up about it since. This last session was probably the most risky and dangerous situation the party has been in since the start of the campaign, and there were a few times where I had to roll, and lives were on the line if I failed. Somehow, I managed to get at least the bare minimum I needed to succeed. I needed a 15 or higher in most of these cases, since I usually had advantage. Everyone else was having similar luck though, so I was just hyped that we were rolling really lucky that night. I did also have plenty of horrible rolls. I got 2 natural ones in a row at one point, as well. So it wasn't as if I was only rolling successes the whole session. But the Dungeon Master seemed to be getting frustrated more and more with each successful roll I announced. He made a comment that I thought at the time was a joke. He chuckled and said it was almost like I was faking it to win with how good my luck was. It is worth mentioning that I had been rolling in front of me where everyone could see, though, so nothing was hidden. I didn't think that was any concern that I was cheating. So I just laughed and said that yeah, my luck was wild that night. Then, at the end of the session, the Dungeon Master said I had one more saving roll to get us all out of there, avoiding another fight that would probably end badly for us. I needed a natural 20, or I would fail. One of my party members thankfully assisted me to give me advantage on the roll, but the odds of success were still low in my opinion. I rolled both dice, and by some miracle, I didn't. Both dice landed on a natural 20. It was glorious, and everyone was super hyped. The Dungeon Master, however, just looked mad, and we all joked that he wanted us to fail so he could show off some more characters that he made and do more of the fun combat stuff. He kinda chuckled and said it was planned to go something like that. The session then ended calmly, with us getting back to our keep and getting set up to rest. Then we called it a night, everyone packed up, and we went our separate ways, assuming that was the end for that night. However, I got a message about 2 hours later from the Dungeon Master, and he was telling me he knows I cheated and lied about my dice rolls to look better in front of the guys. He said he was nice enough to not call me out there and then and embarrass me in front of everyone like he should have, but that he could no longer trust me. He demanded that I give him my dice next session, and that from here on out, he will be rolling behind his Dungeon Master screen for me, since I am proving to be just like every other lying female, and ruining the game for all the honest guys who are playing with me. I was stunned. I didn't know what to say, so I just told him I had never lied. That I was sharing dice with one of the guys, so they aren't some weighted set or anything, and that all my rolls were out in the open where everyone could easily see them. That I could understand he may have had bad experiences in the past with players, but I had done nothing wrong, and would not be letting him roll for my character the rest of the campaign. He has yet to respond, but I am still so out of it and insulted that he thought I was cheating or lying. I really like the group I play with, and the campaign story is super interesting, so I don't think I'll be quitting. But I certainly am not going to just sit by and not roll ever again, and I genuinely don't know what to do in this situation. Small editor's note. I was on mobile posting this, and it for some reason didn't register that I had tried to put in paragraph breaks. I had somehow done it wrong, so I got that fixed so it is in paragraphs again. I also fixed a few spelling errors I had missed since I posted it when I was pretty tired. For those wondering if this person had a crush on me, yeah. He asked me out when I was a freshman in high school and he was a senior. We were both in the same clubs and he seemed nice enough to give a chance to him, so I said yes. We only dated for about a month or two before he got super possessive and controlling, and I broke it off. He was still super bitter, so I cut him off entirely until about 2 years ago. We only reconnected because we live in a small town, and so we share most of the same friends. He has asked me out 3 times since then, and I have turned him down each time. The last attempt he made at asking me out, I very bluntly told him that if he ever asked me out again, I would cut him out of my life permanently. He seemed to get the message and has, until this game started, actually been really chill around me and never pushed my boundaries or said anything creepy. He just acted normally like all the other guys I am friends with. Some of the other guys in the group have said that they will start to stand up for me in this matter. I screenshotted the conversation I had with the Dungeon Master and sent it to them on the morning I'd made this post, and they were all shocked he was acting like that towards me. It is worth mentioning that I live in a small town, and so this is the only group to play with around me. If I quit this group, I have no idea when/if I will be able to play again, and I really do like the other guys in the party, but none of them like to DM, and I am still super new and don't really feel comfortable trying to DM for the group. The campaign is also about 2/3 of the way done according to the timeline the Dungeon Master gave us, so I will probably stick through it for the few sessions we have left, then see if there are online games, I guess if Dungeon Master is still acting creepy and like an incel. So, we will see in 2 weeks how it goes when we meet up for the next session. Thank you for all the advice and messages everyone sent me since this was posted on the subreddit. And that's where the story ends. At least for now. I will be honest, a lot of what the Dungeon Master is doing falls under the broad category of possessive manipulation, bordering on the outright creepy. You have a Dungeon Master who is clearly a misogynist, being passive-aggressive towards a particular player, and pitting that as slander against all women. And to top it off, he portrays this as some biological factor that women are more inclined to lie in order to look good to the men, without providing any real evidence, merely personal experience that he doesn't go any further into, nor provide more detail on. Not to mention the derogatory discrimination, repeatedly calling women as, quote, females, unquote. And I'm sorry, I genuinely feel dirty merely quoting the Dungeon Master. I am going to have to wash out my mouth with soap once I'm finished with this analysis. Let's talk about the accusations of cheating that the Dungeon Master threw around. The poster made all of the roles out in the open, for the entire table to see, including the Dungeon Master. And the Dungeon Master came out in private messages and accused the poster of cheating and lying. This is also after several sessions where passive-aggressive comments were made in the middle of the session about women, seemingly at random. In other words, this Dungeon Master is making blatant, baseless accusations of cheating which can easily be proven false. I want to say that under no circumstances should a Dungeon Master like this be allowed to roll for anyone, especially behind the Dungeon Master screen. If someone like this insists that a particular player has to have someone else roll for that player, find someone at the table whom both parties mutually trust to make the rolls as a last-ditch scenario. And if the accuser is unwilling to allow even that compromise, it's a clear sign of a lack of respect. If I were a betting man, the instant this Dungeon Master is allowed to roll for the poster, they are suddenly only ever going to roll natural ones for the rest of the campaign. Now, I confess, I am strongly hesitant to offer any kind of relationship advice, especially on the internet. But I feel I do need to point out that between the personal experience of the Dungeon Master, that being their possessive behaviour regarding a poster during their relationship, and the constant misogyny being framed as against all women, I am confident in stating that this Dungeon Master clearly has an agenda against the poster, and it is quite possibly rooted in some inherent disrespect towards women, especially considering how controlling he has been in the past, and possibly is also being during the sessions. and the probable reattempts to rekindle what I can only assume would be a possessive relationship as it was before. Under any other circumstances, I would highly recommend getting as far away from an individual like the Dungeon Master in the story as possible. Perhaps even look into having the group minus the Dungeon Master create a new group. I can only hope for the poster that if they do stay in the campaign, that the rest of it goes smoothly. And if it doesn't, remember that no Dungeons & Dragons is preferable to bad Dungeons & Dragons, and that this goes beyond just what happens at the table. I sincerely hope for the best for the poster in their future endeavours. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed my content and would like to see more, feel free to subscribe and give the video a like. It's free to do, and every bit of support is highly appreciated. Plus, you can always change your mind at a later date. And with that, I shall see you all next time.